Good morning. It's morning, believe it or not. And I did a video last night about Pope Pius X. And of course, I went on a bit about myself before I started that. So I just want to uh, do just a little, do explain it a bit more better, a bit better. Um, when I did it about Pope Pius X, I was equating it with what happened to what occurred with little Nellie of Holy God when she was only 4 years of age, but she was bedridden, but was a very holy little angel. And she prayed to God a lot, and she was, for her age, she was very well advanced, and the people that got to know her and called, and which people did those times, and the priest called, and he saw how well informed she was, and she was very anxious to make her first Holy Communion, make her first Holy Confession and Holy Communion. And they lobbied the bishop, and the bishop gave permission for her to be make her first holy confession and her first holy communion. Was little Nellie delighted? She was, and not alone was little Nellie delighted in County Cork. Everybody was in Cork and throughout the country. They knew all about her. A little saint. And it's funny, these little ones are saints. Jesus said when if we behave like little children, even when we're adults, as regards our spiritual life, we will go to heaven. And that's a perfect example of it. It doesn't mean to say you go around and behave like a child when you're not a child. But the connection with Pope Pius X and Little Nellie of Holy God is very profound because it affected the sacrament of confession and Holy Communion for 7-year-olds from then on. Up to then, people were nearly adults before they could receive go to confession and Holy Communion, and they could only avail of that about 7 or 8 times a year. But with this little Nellie of Holy God, when the bishop gave permission for her to make her first confession and Holy Communion, the Pope got to hear about it. Pope Pius X. He come from humble stock. His family were parents, and it was quite a big family. But he went on for the priesthood and then become the Patriarch of Venice, I think, or something like that, which was or Constantinople, which was a very important position, and he was elected Pope. And this was around the time when little Nellie of Holy God had been granted permission to receive Holy Communion, and he heard about it. He regarded her as a gnomon for him to introduce uh, confession and Holy Communion for 7-year-olds because they'd reached the age of reason. And he also instituted that people could go to confession and Holy Communion once a week. And this was the habit for when I was young, because the Mass was celebrated in the universal language of the Catholic Church, Latin. And churches were packed, and on a Saturday afternoon and evening, churches were packed with people going to confession. And by the way, when we were young, we went to Mass on a Sunday. There was no vigil Mass on a Saturday. And we all had to spend Saturday evening polishing our shoes and putting on our good suits that we got, and we wore them going to Mass on a Sunday, which we walked to. We didn't have cars those times. We were looking at bicycles, but when we were going to Mass, we walked. And I lived in Boyle, County Roscommon, for many years, where I went to the national school when my father was transferred there as a guard. And we all went to confession because I had made my first Holy Communion elsewhere. I made my confirmation in Boyle. But I went to the national school, and I become friends with quite a few neighbours and one thing and another, which you did those times. And we all went to confession on a Saturday evening and 10 o'clock Mass on a Sunday. There was 3 Masses on a Sunday, 8:30, 10 and 11:30. And there was a parish priest and about 3 or 4 curates. So there was plenty to hear confessions, not like it is now. And I often remind younger people of the the golden age of that. So I'm equating the marvelous gift of the sacrament of confession, Holy Communion for 7-year-olds, which came about because of the little angel, little Nellie of Holy God, and Pope Pius X when he heard about that marvelous story. So that's the background to it, and I hope there's more explanation than what I did last night. I spent a bit of time talking about my own self, which I don't think people are that interested in, because we all have our little ups and downs and difficulties in life, don't we? We have our little crosses. We don't escape them. But I thank God today I'm as fit as a fiddle and ready to go, but not ready to go in the normal circumstances. I won't be up on a bicycle if we do anything if the weather improves, because it's a bit cloudy and there's some rain knocking about. But if it dries up at all, I might just go for a bit of a walk. So with that, I'll bless myself and bid you adieu and hope you have a nice day. Saturday, most people are off on a Saturday, except those working in certain jobs like Gardaí and nurses, which do a great job. And of course, our brothers and sisters working in supermarkets, which open all hours. By the way, they don't open in France on a Sunday for some reason or other. It's part of the culture there that all these are closed on a Sunday. Some bread stores called boulangeries open on a Sunday until about 1 o'clock, so you can get your rolls and this, that, and the other. French people use boulangeries more than any other country, as far as I know. So they're family-owned businesses, and they're thriving. So that's it, and I'm going to say good morning, and bless myself, and hope you have a nice day off, and say a few prayers. Won't kill you with it. It's a good thing to do. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you, and bye.